Oh, how's it going, everybody? So, we're back for another edition of All In, where I pick a rock artist, I listen to the full discography, and I give my thoughts on it. So, the rules go like this. The artist in question has to have 5 or more albums, original albums. Cover albums can count, and can be included, but generally speaking, I do not include acoustic albums or live albums unless the material is mostly original in that form. So, with that being said, in case you can't tell by the title of the video, this week we feature System of a Down. So, kind of a quickie this week. Yeah. So, we have 5 albums from them, so they just make the cut for that. So, they have a discography spanning from 1998 to 2005, so sort of a brief history here, or a brief time, and so they kind of broke out in the new metal era, and sort of my early memories of System of a Down. I remember my good buddy Josh, one of his classmates recorded some MTV videos. Yes, once in a while they still played videos on MTV in 1998. But anyhow, he got a VHS with an MTV block called Return of the Rock 1999. So, basically, they dedicated, I don't know if it was like 2 hours or 3 hours or a whole evening, but they dedicated a whole block of videos to rock, for once. So, me and him, we were chilling out in his bedroom, watching this tape, and this is where I first saw System of a Down, first heard of them, and of course, they debuted in the videos with the song Sugar, which came from their self-titled album, and after I heard that song, then I went and bought their first album. So, that's really the only early memories I have of them, but I have followed them since, and of course, on top of the 5 albums, they did release a 2-song EP back in 2020, pretty recently. But, of course, after 2005, the band breaks up, and Serge does his solo thing for quite a few years. Had a pretty successful album there afterwards with the song "Empty Walls," and then of course they get back together and they do the little 2-song EP called "Protect the Land, Genocidal Humanoids." So basically they were just naming it off the 2 songs that are on it. But really getting back to the meat of this video, so we start off in 1998 with, of course, their self-titled debut, System of a Down, and this here would be like the special edition copy they released in '99. So, the only real difference is they made the cover in red, and they included a second disc with the 4 live tracks, like 4 live bonus tracks. But here we got Sweet Pea, No, Sugar, which was the breakout song, Suggestions, Spiders, which was a really popular single off of it, D-Devil, Soil, War, Mind, Peephole, Cubert, Darts, and Pluck, all spelled out in letters. And honestly, I mean, it wasn't a bad album, but I mean, definitely not their best. But they were like all out heavy, just hungry for fame. But we move on to like 2001. So this would be their sophomore album, Toxicity, and I would say commercially their most popular album. So here we start off with Prison Song, Needles, Deer Dance, Jet Pilot X, probably their most famous song ever, Chop Suey, love that song, Bounce, Forest, Atwa, Science, Shimmy, Toxicity, which was popular, Psycho, and Aerials, which was also a popular one. I do like Psycho. I like how it goes, Psycho Groupies Cooking Crazy. Real catchy song. But definitely a great album. I feel like it's a masterpiece. So, my step-son-in-law, he's a fan of System of a Down, even though I guess he was like young when they came out, but like caught up to him later, but he kind of begs to differ on my opinions of these albums, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, definitely a good album. Recommend it if you don't have it. So then we move on to an interesting one, and one that wasn't planned. Steal This Album. And yeah, so the story behind this is, I guess the tracks that are on this were stolen. It was on a burnt CD. None of them have been released yet, and then once they got out, they just decided to go ahead and release them. So it's got some corny ones to it. So we have Chicken Stew. I would say the most popular one off this album, Intervision. I could hear Weird Al Yankovic like singing it as television. But anyhow, we got Bubbles, Boom, New Guns, ADD, American Dream, Denial, Mr. Jack, IEAIAIO, 36, Pictures, Highway Song, Fuck the System, Ego Brain, the Tie Waves, Roulette, and my favorite song off of this, Streamline. And it's, I don't know if, you almost would call this an EP. I mean, it's only like, probably a half hour long. Yeah, what is the runtime? Oh, no, it's not. It's around 42 minutes, 43 minutes. But I would say not their best, but I mean, it did unintentionally get out, so had it not got stolen, would we even have any of these tracks? Or would they have been on another album? Or would they have released another album beyond what they already have? I don't know. But, yeah, definitely a unique album. I remember the first time I heard Chicken Stew, my GMC's brother had got the CD and popped it in, and my first thought about Chicken Stew was like, yeah, they must have been hungry when they wrote that. But it's kind of a corny song, but I like it. So then we move on. That was 2002. So then we move on to 2005, which we sort of have a double header here. So in 2005, they come out with Mesmerize, which that was released in May of 2005. So here we start off with BYOB, which I would say is like the popular song off that album. We have Revenja, Cigarro, Radio Video, This Cocaine Makes Me Feel Like I'm on This Song. That's a long title. Violent Pornography, Question, which is another single off of it. Sad Statue, also another single from it. Old School Hollywood, and Lost in Hollywood. Very short album, too. It only clocks in at like 36 minutes. So then, to continue on with this album, that one I have on download. This one here, so we move on to Hypnotize, which is sort of a sequel to Mesmerize. So I guess you could call it like a two-part album. And this one released 6 months later, and it was November 22nd this released. So here we have Attack. I like that one. Dreaming, Kill Rock and Roll, Hypnotize, Stealing Society, Tentative, You Fig. No, it doesn't say You Fag. Holy Mountains, which I love that song. That's a good one. Vicinity of the Obscenity. She's Like Heroin, Lonely Day, which is a good one. It's almost like a sad ballad, I guess. And then you end it with a Soldier Side. So then we move on to the EP, like I was talking about a little earlier. And all they did was protect the land and genocidal humanoids. And this was more of a fundraiser thing. And I don't know, I wasn't too crazy about that EP, but I mean, for what it was pretty good. But, yeah, my stepson-in-law, Zachy, though, he just subscribed to the channel. Welcome aboard. But one day we were just, like, shooting the shit, discussing System of a Down, and he tends to gravitate more towards the Hypnotize, Mesmerize albums, where, my opinion, I like Toxicity the best out of them, but for me, I would say it's more of a nostalgic thing as to why I like Toxicity, because that album was, like, everywhere. And that album, I remember, like, that album had come out right about the time 9/11 came out. I mean, sadly, I kind of associate it with that in a way. But as far as ranking them, as far as my least favorite and my favorites, I mean, obviously not enough albums, so we're just going to do it all in one era. Of course, you know, it's only like a 7-year span. So, as far as they go, my favorite, obviously, Toxicity. Love the album. Definitely their most successful, too. But yeah, Chop Suey is what really got me into them, into that one. But, I mean, a lot of the deep cuts on that album, too, I really liked. Like, Prison Song was a good way to start it off. I like Deer Dance. I like Jet Pilot, Forest, and Otwa was a good It was a good segue into Otwa, and then you got, of course, the title track Toxicity and Psycho. I love Psycho. Like that Psycho grippy cooking crazy. Love it. But yeah, definitely my favorite one there. Least favorite, I'm gonna say Steal This Album. And I don't know. It might. I mean, least favorites might tie Steal This Album. I would say like a close, not a close second, but not too far ahead would be the self-titled. But all in all, in the short time they were around, they definitely made an impact in nu metal. But they're one of those bands that I have never got to see live. But anyhow, yeah, just definitely recommend Toxicity. But as far as the next episode goes, guess where we're going to be? The jungle, baby!